And we're back. I'm Anthony Furey filling in for Brian Lilly. I want to tell you a story. When I was driving home on my motorcycle in my last year of high school, a car went speeding straight through a red light and T-boned the car in front of me. I was pretty shaken out because if he'd hit me, being on a bike, I probably would have died. The driver got out and he was a man in his 80s. Poor vision, didn't even understand what had happened. He hadn't seen the light at all. Basically, he shouldn't have been driving. But when do we decide that? Is it our place as individuals? The government's place? Should there be a set age? And I quote, "It's an urgent priority because of the prediction that the number of Ontario drivers with dementia will more than double to 100,000 by 2028. That's a line from a Zoomer media story by well-known media personality Libby Znaimer. She's also the VP of News for Zoomer Media, and I'm pleased to have her join us in studio today in Toronto. Libby, thanks for being here.
Very nice to be here. Thank you.
Now, I understand that this issue is really cresting in public discourse in Ontario right now for seniors because there's a lot of stuff going on. A task force in Sudbury, the CARP advocacy group, would like to see some laws changed. Tell me what you're hearing from the Zoomer audience, which to let my audience know is catered towards people 50 and plus, I believe.
45 plus. Well, it's a task force. It's a snitch line. In Sudbury, they set up a snitch line where they specifically targeted older drivers. So the idea was if you see somebody driving badly, especially if it's an older person, you can call through Crime Stoppers. Well, instead of having the lines ringing off the hook with bad older drivers, it was a lot of angry people at this kind of discrimination and targeting of older people. Because the facts are that older people generally are safe drivers and there's really no reason to target them. Even though it's true, there does come a point for most people when they have to either moderate their driving or stop driving, but it's usually not a problem.
Now, we've got some graphs we're going to be putting up on the screen right now. And I see we're putting a quote up from your story that says, according to the Canadian Medical Association, people with mild dementia should be individually tested, and as many as 76% of them can actually pass an on-road test and safely drive. So I guess all this information suggests that the 3 million and plus drivers over 65 and the 200,000 plus over 85, if they can drive safely, they should be able to drive. Is that generally what you're hearing?
That story was part of a report on a pilot project to facilitate safe driving for older people, because it really is discrimination to think that, okay, you get to a certain age and you can't drive. There's really a question of what are the types of physical and mental problems that would stop you from driving safely. And that was part of a report that's saying actually people with very mild cognitive decline can still drive safely. If you're diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it's up to your doctor to report that to the Ministry of Transportation when a diagnosis of that is made. But the Medical Association is saying that people even with mild dementia or cognitive decline can still drive safely.
Now, I know I've had experiences, people in my life have had very rapid mental declines, unfortunately, due to aging and illness, and they may have gone to a doctor's appointment, and then only 3-6 months later, something unfortunate kicks in, dementia's, Alzheimer's. What sort of a role can family play in this?
Well, family really is supposed to be the first line of defense. The fact is, though, it can be a very, very difficult and uncomfortable conversation when you have to say, okay, mom, okay, auntie, it's really time for you to hang up your car keys. That's a very, very difficult discussion to have. But really, the place to have that conversation is with family. But the thing is that for most people, they self-police. I know a lot of older people, when they start to see either their eyesight is bad or there's some other problem, they curtail their driving by themselves. I know older people who say, I do not drive after dark, or I don't drive on the highways, or I don't drive in bad weather. So I think that for the vast majority of people, they understand when they have to put the brakes on their driving, so to speak. But yes, it's true, there will be cases when you have to take the keys away from people, and the place to do that is a conversation in the family.
Do you think that this advocacy to change how it works in Ontario right now is going to be met with any success?
No, I think the backlash is already huge. And the fact is that this program in Sudbury, the police chief already apologized. Now, it was one of those apologies that said, gee, I'm sorry you feel that way. They're still continuing with this snitch line that targets older people. However, he had a plan to roll it out to the rest of the province, and now he says, well, maybe not.
And how does it look throughout the landscape across the rest of Canada? Are there any things that should concern our viewers elsewhere in other provinces?
Well, it's an issue. More of us are getting older, and we're going to have to handle that. But as I said, there is this pilot project underway with an organization, I think it's called Car Help. They are following drivers over 70, and their plan is to have a way to make sure that people can drive safely as they're older. Then there's also the question of continued driver education. And, you know, by the way, this is probably something that would benefit all of us, not just older drivers, that, you know, the same way that we have driver education that's targeted to younger drivers who can be very dangerous on the road, that we should have driver education, because cars have changed, the roads have changed, you know. In a lot of cases, there are probably people who started driving before there were even such big highways as there are now. So that's probably a very good idea.
Libby, we're out of time, but I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you.